we are observing things and then like a sponge just taking them inside, and then it can structure our behaviors, our focus. So the healthy programming also matters from a very early age. It's also a beauty because they are already kind of like born into this. And if we help them to stay curious and open-minded and explore this area even more in practice, then we have better future generations. And I think this is also one of the obstacles why people are so much against Bitcoin, because they don't want to accept the fact that their whole lives, everything that they believe in is wrong. It's like fake, right? Don't buy Bitcoin before.
Welcome to Your Bitcoin Story podcast, where we dive deep into the journeys, ideas, and passions of Bitcoiners from around the world. I'm your host, Gigi, and today we're thrilled to have a truly inspiring guest joining us. Meet Shella, a digital gypsy and full-time Bitcoiner with a mission to create a better, more transparent future. With a sharp mind and a creative soul, Shella blends her experience in branding, marketing, and strategic communication to champion innovation while fiercely advocating for user privacy and transparency. Her Bitcoin journey is as multifaceted as her talents. She's a core member of the Bitcoin Film Fest team, the founder of Bitcoin Junior Club and Wearables by Shella, and a regular contributor to European Bitcoiners and Love in Bitcoin. Whether she's educating, writing, designing, or advising, Shella is driven by her passion for empowering people through Bitcoin. Today, we'll explore her unique perspective, her creative pursuits, and her unwavering commitment to building a future where Bitcoin thrives. So let's dive into it. Here's Shella on Your Bitcoin Story. Welcome to the show, Shella.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for this time, for this opportunity, and a very beautiful introduction.
My pleasure. It's always nice to have a fellow Bitcoiner that does so many good things. And yeah, I'm really excited to this one. And as I told you off record, I really appreciate you all the support you're showing on Nostr and always, commenting on my notes. It's something that drives me and shows me that I'm doing the right thing and on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely. So kudos, congrats, and I do it because I love it. So, and Nostr is one of my biggest loves, just after Bitcoin.
Of
So,
course.
yeah.
Of course. Well, I guess, Shella, let's take it from the beginning because I think we have a lot of things to discuss on this episode. But like we do with all other guests, how did your Bitcoin journey begin? What was that specific moment or event that sparked your interest?
Yeah. The question is simple, and because I'm a heavy listener of your show, I was expecting this question, and I was even like last night thinking, what should I say? But my answer cannot be that simple, because the truth is that I don't fully remember my story. Like, I do remember some kind of moments, dates, or specific actions that triggered something, but I don't remember the entire story. And on the other hand, I also think that this journey never ends. So it's like a lifetime journey. Once you get on a train, it just takes you so many different directions. And yeah, just speaking of Bitcoin, there are so many different things popping up, changing, developing, improving. This is like crazy and amazing. On the other hand, you can also, on your own, start exploring different areas. And so, like, I don't know, when I started, there was like mostly guys and developers and the like smaller meetups. Then we were switching to cultural side and like different aspects of culture built on Bitcoin ethos. Then the reason, so to say, trends are like women in Bitcoin and families and kids and like fiction. And so it's amazing. So it's like lifetime journey. And I also like to say that I am kind of like naturally born freedom seeker, probably just looking at my past and thinking about it a lot. And I used to do that a lot to accept myself or to understand myself better, to be in peace with myself. So I think if not Bitcoin in the past, it would have been something else that would be again built on integrity, on values, and connecting with people, helping each other, building, and so on and so forth. But like speaking of dates, I think it was like 2015, 16. I was aware that Bitcoin is money. It's something a little bit disruptive.
Disruptive, yeah, that's correct.
Yes. A little bit controversial, but I didn't put enough attention until 2017 when the block size were started. And then I was thinking more about, okay, why Satoshi designed it the way he did? Why we don't need bigger block size? Why there is some sneaky people, again, getting in and then trying to manipulate behind the scene, the situation and get some profit. So then I read the white paper, I think 2 or 3 times, like really trying to get deeply, like, because it's pretty technical. It's not difficult, but it's pretty technical. So from that moment, I was like, all in, and I started listening. There were not that many resources, but I started listening heavily, like Andreas Antonopoulos. I think there was a Kaiser's report, also like Gigi,
The
but not
original Gigi.
and a couple of articles, though there were not that many resources. But I have to say that also together with my husband, we are both like kind of same but different. So we took this journey. Sometimes we were meeting to discuss how we understand different things, but we took it on our own, with our own speed, with our own interest. But we were both, even before we discovered Bitcoin, we were both into like geopolitics, history, economics, all these kind of topics. And also I used to work in social trading, then in the banking industry, which also helped me a lot to understand the problems with the financial system. So then I started also reading more of these kind of books. So many of them. So then it was like not only learning about Bitcoin, but also learning about the world around, and then connecting the puzzles, like why Bitcoin is better and why it can seriously change the entire world, because it's so good and we never had such a solution ever. So it's not only like a fiat standard, they're like removing gold and stuff. I mean, they had this issue like forever, since the first money was ever created, even like barter trading, all these kind of things. So yeah, then it just started, and it's here, and I don't know where it will end. But yeah, I think it's a lifetime journey.
That's incredible. I mean, just to say on kind of, as you said, the meaning behind your name, like the waterfall, right? It was like a waterfall effect. The deeper you went in, the more you ingested knowledge about it. You were like, oh my God, like this is truly like something that will change the world for the better. In
Absolutely.
People don't even understand it. And a lot of people, especially at the moment, with us approaching and maybe even, breaking 100K during this recording, but that's irrelevant. People focus on the NGU numbers go up, how high can it go? But to me, that's a very wrong and kind of pitiful way to look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is no numbers go up. Bitcoin is buying your time back in freedom. Now, in some sense, of course, with higher purchasing power, you can buy more things, but that's not the meaning of life. Growing up, I was always like, I guess, like most people, I was always kind of, one goal I had in life was to become a self-made millionaire by the age of 30. Now, I didn't get to that term in dollar values. Thankfully, I did get into a millionaire status of Satoshis by 30. So that was one achievement of my own. But to me, you come to a realization that all this excess money that people are striving for, it doesn't bring you happiness and freedom. Actually, the more money you make or you manage, the more stress you have, the more, especially in the geopolitical climate. I mean, I would.
So chasing the rabbit, and then actually it's beautiful what you said, that Bitcoin can help you to appreciate your time and your life more, and gives you this time back. So actually, when you are chasing the money that doesn't have value, and it's actually decreasing, even in terms of like your purchasing power, it's decreasing it. You are always chasing the rabbit faster and faster, like you are in this hamster wheel, and then you are actually shortening every day of your life in terms of relationships, in terms of your focus, in terms of your happiness, health, and so on and so forth. But also coming back to what you said, like that people are focused on price. Like I never had this thing. I don't judge anyone. Everyone has a different story. So I know that many people came for the price, getting rich, and they stayed for many other reasons. I never had these things. What hooked me was that this is something that can bring the balance in the world in a way. It can bring the values, and it can help us to be maybe more peaceful, more like organized. Yeah, time is a very beautiful thing. It's actually, Bitcoin brought us back this focus on time. But I also don't like when people are focusing on price, because at the end of the day, I mean, one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. If for you this is money, and for me it is money, and I'm not able to spend it and like use it every day as much as I would like to, but I'm using it as money, right? So I don't care if it's 100,000 K, 1 million, because we are calculating it in terms of, let's say, dollars or euros or whatever. And then so what? Maybe it is 1 million one day in terms of dollars.
Yeah.
To give you a loaf of bread.
Very
I
true.
don't really care, because I do care that, I don't know, 1,000 Satoshis or 10,000 Satoshis can give me a bread and then a beer or a coffee. And you know what I mean? So
yeah, of course.
I don't really think about it in these terms, because my ultimate goal is not to sell my Bitcoin to get rich in fiat terms. I just want to accumulate more sats to be more secure in terms of spending it, and then putting it into the circular economy, so that others can earn it, and then I can earn it back, and so on and so forth. And that also my family in the future will be like having better or they will be settled in a better way, right? So I don't really care about the price.
I totally agree with you, Shella. And price is one thing that you've noticed. Like we don't really go too much about it and predictions and stuff because that's irrelevant. Now, I do the counter argument: Bitcoin is not volatile. Fiat currencies are volatile. As you said, one BTC is always going to be one BTC. So focus on stacking your Sats and not stacking how many dollars equivalent you have of Bitcoin. I guess this is kind of the beginner's transition. I would say 99.9% of people that get into Bitcoin, they're always valuing like how much Bitcoin they have in dollar or let's call it fiat values, right? And after time, you realize, well, wow, I shouldn't be pricing, Bitcoin in fiat values. I should be looking at the other side of the angle. How many goods can I get for the sats that I do have? And that's the right way, but that takes time. And Bitcoin, as beautiful as it is, it's not the simplest concept to understand, and it's a very different form of money that we have ever had before, right? So it's something that takes time, but thankfully, to podcasts, to books,
it's
to education,
teaching us how to unlearn many things. So
100%.
That's why it's a lifetime journey, because you can be learning more things about Bitcoin, around Bitcoin, linked to Bitcoin, and so on and so forth. But on the other hand, you have to put a lot of effort into unlearning many things. And then again, nobody to be blamed, but we are really heavily programmed. We are also heavily programmed, not because of the system, I believe, but because of our families and backgrounds and experiences and so on and so forth. So this is also like a nice goal to have as a person, to be like better me the next morning when I wake up, and not like to hate yourself because like to blame yourself for anything. Like again, to balance these kind of things, try to be better, unlearn things, improve things. Also, there is nothing wrong about being wrong. So even if you have an opinion or something, if you realize that maybe you've been wrong, just say it clearly to yourself. Yeah, it was not correct. And I think this is also one of the obstacles why people are so much against Bitcoin, because they don't want to accept the fact that their whole lives, everything that they believed in is wrong. It's like fake, right? So yeah, it's a very complex thing. But on the other hand, like working with the children, with teenagers, and just coming back from El Salvador, where we have this adopting Bitcoin and Bitcoin para niños, I realized for them, and of course it's a little bit biased because they were mostly like Bitcoiner kids, but for them there is no question. Like they know it's money, they can buy things, they can save, so they have more of it for the future. They know that there is different money, but they were even saying like, which is so hilarious because let's say they are 5, 6, or 7, like you have also 2 daughters, and then they were saying, yeah, Bitcoin is better because the paper money, they can lose value because it's paper.
Oh, wow.
So, but because it's paper, so I was like, so what do you mean it's paper? Yeah, it can be destroyed, for example. So this is their understanding. But for them, it's simple. Like they know you pay with this, like you have like 1 Bitcoin, 10 sats, 100 sats, 1 million sats, like, how much sats you have to make 1 Bitcoin. They know it's a lot. They cannot imagine how many of these items there will be. But for them, it's simpler. And this is also beauty because they are already kind of like born into this. And if we help them to stay curious and open-minded and explore this area even more in practice, then we have better future generations. A friend of mine who is also working on like children books and different projects, he said that kids are future adults. So for us, it might be more complicated, but for the younger generations, it's not necessary. And I think we can also learn like a lot from them. And it's all in your mind, Neo. There's no
Yes.
problem.
It is. Well, I couldn't agree more, kind of to jump in on what you said. I also think that you mentioned kids are future adults. I say that adults are just big kids, right? Like in a sense, we are once again going to what you mentioned, programming, right? We are taught that we go to kindergarten and we go to school, we go to university, we find this, job, our career, we go up our ladder, we hit that 60, 65, depending wherever you are in the world. And then you retire and then you just basically pass away. And pretty much that's life, right? And
that's very sad.
It's a very sad reality to be in, and people have been looking back, our parents, grandparents, and ancestors going back. It's been even though their parameters were a little bit different, but still more or less like it wasn't a very inspiring kind of way to grow up in the world. All of us, when we were small, we wanted to be different things, be spaceman, fireman, artist, whatever. And then as you grow up, either your parents or you realize that, oh, maybe like I can't do this for a living. I need to go, get a law degree or be an accountant. Which in my opinion is the worst
because
job.
It's not profitable, right?
Because it's not so profitable, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And this
and
is
and 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 with Bitcoin, like, it shows you that, no matter what your passion is from a small age, and this is what I'm trying to do with my children, whatever their passions are, just keep on pushing them and supporting them, so that, once they get to the age that, they want to do it full time, they can. And hopefully, with the trajectory, daddy doing his deed and, and stacking sats, and will carry on stacking sats, they won't have to go through that trajectory of going to university to get this degree, to apply for some, boring, tedious jobs, which can be done by robots in most cases, and just focus on what they're really passionate about. And I can just imagine, if even half of the world just pursued what they're passionate about, wow, like, the world would be a much nicer place. There would be a lot less crime. There would be a lot less drug use. There would be a lot less just violence and
yeah, you will be less
envy.
frustrated. There's this saying like, do what you love and you will never work a day in your life, right?
Yes, yes. I repeat it many times on the podcast. And this was told to me by my dad at a very young age,
Oh,
when
really?
it never resonated. Like, it's one of the strongest quotes that I was told when I was a kid. And I couldn't comprehend it. I used to tell my dad, like, Dad, but, like, what do you mean if, doing what I love is never working a day in your life? How does that make sense? I still need to work. And he was like, well, like, you'll understand at some point. And then later, when I discovered Bitcoin, I was like, like, that makes sense. I can work on a Sunday, I can work on a Monday. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I love what I'm doing, and it doesn't seem like it's work. It's like a good deed that I'm giving back.
Because it's not labor that you suffer, but it's just
Correct.
work. Like, yeah.
It's basically giving your creativity out to the world, which, artists have been doing in different forms, may that be writers, painters, singers, poets,
Engineers, everyone. This is what I'm trying
everybody.
to tell everyone. Like, creativity, and this is one of my favorite words. He is
Mm,
in each of us. So some people
100%.
associate it mostly with like really like more complex artistic kind of realm, but not necessary. Creativity is in every each of us. It's just sometimes very easily killed because of
Mm,
them, because of the patterns, because of how you have to behave, because sometimes of your parents. So I think what your dad gave you, it's also like, so to say, healthy programming. So, and yeah, however it sounds like, it makes sense as well, because we are observing things and then like a sponge just taking them inside, and then it can structure our behaviors, our focus. So the healthy programming also matters from a very early age.
100%. And also, another point is kind of the people that you surround yourself with, kind of, no matter what thinking you have, if you surround yourself with people that are heavily programmed and, only see in one direction, sooner or later, you're going to be looking at the same direction. It's very important to surround yourself. Another great quote from my father was, if you want me to say what kind of person you are, show me who your friends are, right? And that is so true, because if you're influenced and essentially communicate and engage with people that have a very different point of view to you, sooner or later you are going to switch that way. And in this monetary kind of fiat seeking rat race, everybody's looking for that higher paycheck, for that next promotion. And that's what life is not about. Going back to the time aspect, which I focus very heavily on this show, time is super scarce. People don't realize how fast time is going away. And we only have one life, like I mentioned. This is not a video game where you die and then you respawn in the beginning and you start it over again. You're born, you live hopefully a beautiful life, and then you pass away. Now, does your soul go to another body or not? That's a discussion for another podcast. But essentially, the life that we live now, people should make the most of it. And to me, Bitcoin finally gives you this freedom to focus on what you really love, and enjoy this, kind of stretch out the time that you have here and make it more meaningful, because we never know when our time goes. And before you know it, I don't want to be 60 years old and looking back and saying, Gigi, why didn't you,
Yeah, you
pursue
don't want
what you
to
really wanted to
regret
do?
a thing. Yes, yeah, absolutely. And also with Bitcoin, because we know that you are more, let's say, like your future is more secure. You can like,
Hmm.
we call it like long time preference. This is like a new term, so to say, but literally it means like the long, like looking long term, right? So this as a meaning, like as an expression, is nothing really new. So because you can be like calmer, and then you really look long term, you appreciate the moment, but on the other
Hmm.
hand, you are not that stressed because you know what's your long term goal. You are not chasing it here and now, and yeah, so it's again like a very beautiful way of connecting things, and how it makes the entire life easier, happier. for us, for our surrounding as well, because this is like a domino effect as well. So if you're happier and healthier, your surrounding as well, and then when your surrounding is happier and healthier, you might be like this. So yeah, life is beautiful. This is just
It
like
is.
a simple thing to just notice it and use it.
And more importantly, you're making a meaningful life for yourself and others, right? Like by you dedicating your time, energy, and resources to Bitcoin, you're not just helping yourself and your family, you're helping other people uncover this beautiful technology and basically hopefully tap in and, make use of it themselves.
Yeah, and
So
vice versa, because there's so many
correct.
Bitcoiners helping like each other. When you see how supportive the community is, like we might not agree on every single topic, we might not be exactly the same, which is
Which is
actually
good.
great. Yeah, exactly. Like yeah, we are not clones, robots, and so on, but we are very, very helpful. Like in my entire journey until now, I really met only a few people that I was a little bit disappointed with. But okay, it's their life, their choices. Not everyone is perfect. We don't need to like really go the same direction, have same values. But otherwise, this is amazing. And this is also so empowering, right? Because
Mm.
even when you have your ups and downs, and each of us can have different moments like this, it doesn't mean like Bitcoin is like utopia, whatever, and everything is perfect, right? That will be also kind of like weird. But yeah, there are always people who will help you, who will pull you up, who will motivate you in a way. And then you know that you will one day give them back. And so yeah, you are not alone. And this is amazing as well. Yes.
No, and yeah, I mean, we can go on this topic for the next hour, but I wanted to bring up some other things that you're personally involved in since we've got you on the show. So I guess I want to first tap into your Bitcoin Juniors Club, which to me, that's a very close to heart project. Once again, saying, that I'm a dad to two young, beautiful princesses who is 4 and 2.5 years old. And, on the topic, what you mentioned with kids in El Salvador, already, comparing Bitcoin to paper money and saying they prefer Bitcoin. Like a personal anecdote, my girls in their playroom, they have their own, Sunday market, fruit market. And, they tell me, they give me the basket, like, daddy, go pick out your fruits and stuff. And then they have their own till. And then I always joke about with them. I go, well, what do you want to take? You want to take cash, card, or Bitcoin? And they're like, Bitcoin, please. And, they're like,
Oh
put
my
out their
God.
little like plastic phone. And, we do like a QR code scan, like boop boop, and they're like, "Thank you." And it's funny, like they're 4 and 2 year old, and they like see it as normal thing, And I think as parents, it's in our priority to set up our kids on the right path and educate them. Educating kids at whatever age, it's never too early, because to them as they grow up, they won't see like Bitcoin as an investment vehicle. It'll just be the best form of money, which they will actually prefer. And hopefully next year, I want to attend many more conferences with the path that I have taken myself on. And I want to bring my girls and the wife as well on it. So they actually, see, it's not just daddy sitting in his studio with a microphone talking to people around the world, but, there's so much stuff happening. And one thing I've really been enjoying, especially at BTC Prague and a lot of other conferences, they're starting to make it more family inclusive. So there's like a kids section, and I would love for them. They also love crafts. They do things themselves. So I would love to do some things and have like their own little pop up where set them
This is
up.
what we did. So like really, I'm so grateful that the Adopting Bitcoin team let me do what I did, because I organized the entire space with full program of games, workshops, creative
Amazing.
workshops, reading sessions, panels for kids and with kids as well, screening sessions. So there was like every single thing. And then to coming back to like learning. So okay, you are showing them practical side, like to your daughters, of Bitcoin, that it's money that you can pay with it, but also you mentioned that yeah, it's not only the daddy that is like behind the microphone. That was a very hilarious moment. We had like 4 kids in the panel, so they were discussing like their backgrounds, where they are from, how is it different to El Salvador, how familiar they are with Bitcoin. And it was one girl who said, yeah, I was always thinking that it's only my dad, that it's crazy, and there are so many Bitcoiners here and they are cool people. So yeah, it's also learning, right? Like I am not. So speaking of Bitcoin Junior Club, the goal is not only to educate kids about Bitcoin directly, because my belief is like, if you stop thinking for yourself, so if we lose critical thinking, creativity, curiosity, I'm sorry to say, but even Bitcoin is not going to save you. It's not some kind of magical substance or whatever that is going to make you like a perfect human being. We need to keep thinking for yourself. And speaking about kids, for example, I believe if you are a parent, and if blindly you would just repeat Bitcoin is the best, but not explaining why, and if you just, let's say kids are curious by nature. And if they ask question why, but if you say, because it is, then you are also programming them in a very bad way, because one day, maybe in a future, there will be some situation that, I don't know, like what will be the future with Bitcoin. Maybe we will have some struggles. Maybe some people will try to use it in a bad way. So if the kid is programmed in a sense like, yeah, it is the best and that's it, not being critical enough, not being curious, not focusing on values and so on and so forth, then so what? Like, we will lose everything again, and then the circle will repeat. So yeah, it's overall, I'm also happy that conferences are focusing more on kids, on families, because you don't have to travel alone, first of all. Then quite often, yeah, women are not that much into Bitcoin. When they see the family spaces, more women, and like sometimes also guys, then they can feel more familiar. Kids are learning more, then they can make friendships. They can, yeah, not only learn about Bitcoin, but about life, about realities, about different creative kind of forms of whatever they want. So yeah, it's again complex, beautiful, and I'm super happy that it's another kind of wave in the Bitcoin space. Yeah.
For sure, and I would also add it helps relationships. I'm sure many wives are like, wow, like my husband, he just lost his mind. He's Bitcoin all day, every day. Like, what's he talking about? He's totally gone cuckoo. And then they go to a conference, they're like, wow, like there's many more cuckoos around, but these
Yeah,
cuckoos
and
are
they're
actually pretty cool and they're nice humans. And like, I see why my husband's spending all this time. So it's actually like the conversation, the trip going back, I guess, would be very positive, and kind of the husbands will get some slack for spending so much time in the space. And who knows, maybe they find themselves doing something, some way they can help.
Exactly, because you see that they are very honest, like very genuine, warm, friendly, funny, and ultra intelligent people, not just some kind of geeks. And they don't have bad intentions, and you can really make like friendships from kids to adults. And yeah, you are learning new things, you are like motivated, you've got so much extra energy. So yeah, then you want to continue, and then you are motivated maybe to follow your passion. So yeah, it's a journey.
So focusing on the Bitcoin Junior Club, did you start it, or did the group? How did that all come about?
No, that was actually my hobby project. So yeah, Bitcoin Confess is like my heart is beating there the most, and this is one of the projects I spend most of the time in. And then Bitcoin Junior Club and a couple of other things that I do, like the wearables and then translations and writings and so on and so forth. But Bitcoin Junior Club was always like a hobby, I would say. So from 2 to 4 in the morning, that was the thing. And it's also relaxing me a lot because yeah, I like drawing things when I'm like too tired with heavier things, like all this creative kind of work makes me calmer. I actually started because we are traveling the world, so I was like doing simple creative pages or like puzzles or coloring pages, and then in whichever place we were staying, I was just distributing them around. They are not directly teaching about Bitcoin, but introducing, let's say, Bitcoin as a logo or some concept and so on and so forth. And then yeah, I started thinking like how I can utilize it in a bigger sense, also digitally. So I built a website. And this is where I put most of my resources because I don't have that many hours. I still need to sleep and take care of myself. I set up like social media, like Nostr, Twitter, and I didn't have a plan or like pushing it too much to the public. But then somehow the universe connected me with Kiki, who is one of the organizers of Adopting Bitcoin. And anyway, one of the goals of the Bitcoin Junior Club was to start some kind of gatherings for kids run by teenagers. So like adults are a little bit away, like they are coming only temporarily, but it's mostly like, yeah, because I used to do like summer camps for kids and teens in the past, like in an unschooling, let's say, way. So I wanted to do that. And then when we connected with Kiki and she said, okay, then you can come to El Salvador, we give you a ticket. If you are happy to do something, then yeah, let's do. So yeah, I had like less than a month to prepare the entire program, connect with people, collect a lot of resources because we didn't have sponsors. I also didn't got paid for these kind of things. It was actually quite heavy investment from my private pocket, but amazing. People are very helpful and they were donating a lot of cool stuff, or sometimes even bringing them in person. So yeah, Bitcoin Junior Club is 100% me. Sometimes my husband is helping me. In the future, if it gets bigger, I would love it to be run also by teenagers and young adults as well. So yeah.
You're talking about adopting a Bitcoin conference, this one that happened last month or the last year's one? A week ago. Okay. And was that your first?
I still have jet lag.
I was going to say, like, that was literally like a few days ago. And was that your first time in El Salvador or no?
Yes.
And how was that? I want to, like, I love getting a quick take of people that, Bitcoiners that they have their first trip to El Salvador and hearing their feedback.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that much, unfortunately, because I was pretty busy.
Focused on the conference.
Yeah, and it was only 1 week, but so far I'm in love. I mean, I love nature, so it's very green.
Okay.
So this is one thing. San Salvador as a city is very clean. It's very safe. It's cute. It's pleasant to walk around, maybe minus the traffic, but it reminds me Albania, Turkey, and some other countries that I saw me there. People, this is like unbelievable. Like the locals, they are so friendly, they are so genuine, but also proud. So like you see that they have this integrity, but also they know who they are, and they work very hard. A lot of expats that are already in there, incredible people, and all of them not only came just to escape from their places. Oh, this is a cheaper, better place. No, they are really building. So I've been to San Salvador, unfortunately, and then Horizonte. Unfortunately, I haven't visited Berlin, but this is on my to-do list. Next time, I met amazing people building stuff around Bitcoin in there, mostly locals, but also expats are helping in there. So overall, I'm like in love. And I already, when I came, and I was so tired because it took me like 2 days from the airport to the airport, like very, very tired. And I also got a fever because the weather was pretty bad. Like it was raining a lot. So I told my husband, like, okay, before I fall asleep, before I collapse, we have to go back and not another conference, just go back,
Just
to
go
see the
back
place
and
and then
spend time.
explore it more. So amazing. I think it's also very empowering that you are in a Bitcoin country. And of course, not every single place is accepting Bitcoin. But come on, I went to a print shop, and I didn't really, because I didn't have time to check like BTC map, whatever. I need to just do my stuff, and I'm not like, weird that I will. So it's again about time and priorities, right? So the closest print shop, and I was printing stuff, and I was like, can I pay Bitcoin? And the guy said, yes. I was like, oh my God, really? Like a small charge? He said, yes, there is a sign outside. And I was like, cool. So yeah, there are so many like places you wouldn't even expect, which is also amazing. So yeah, I can recommend to anyone who hadn't been there.
It's it's very inspiring, and like the more I hear people's feedback about El Salvador, like I really want to go there and experience it for myself, like, and maybe even perhaps like outside of the conference zone, because when people go for a conference, you're just focused. It's similar to Prague this summer. Like I was really looking forward to going to Prague, and then I only spent 1 day in the city center on the last day, because like 4 days it was Dev Day, and then the 3-day conference, and then the last day was actually in the city, and I was like, wow, like there's so much to see here, and I couldn't, because everything was focused on the conference. Yeah, I would definitely want to go explore it myself and, see these, parts, maybe Alzonte, Berlin, which I've been seeing a lot of great stuff with. Take it easy. See how life is every day, instead of when all these Bitcoiners fly in from all over the world and it's kind of like a festival instead of day-to-day life. And it's very inspiring. It's incredible for a relatively small country to have so many like-minded people there, as you said, not to escape taxation or like cheaper living, but actually building stuff, collaborating. Like it's such a like renaissance place to be in.
The name of a country, the savior, right?
Correct, the savior. I know it goes hand in hand.
Wow. Yeah. But also many locals now, like they are having their own initiatives, and this is so cool because I've been born in the Western Hemisphere, and I have like mixed background when it comes to my family. Quite early, I realized that generally, no offense to anyone, but the Western people are very arrogant, and they think that they are the best. And now maybe they see that democracy is not really. It's like kind of like a fake synthetic reality. Generally, they have like bad opinions, or they don't appreciate other countries that are still developing or they were not developed. And you know what? Salvadorians, I think they don't really care. Now they are giving us the blueprint. They are giving us the example. Like, look at Mi Primera Bitcoin. It was started in there, and then now it's getting translated into other languages, and other countries are adopting it, not only from LATAM. And there are so many other projects. Like I've met so many incredible people, Salvadorians, leading the way and then doing it in there, whether with expats or not. But some other people are trying to learn from it out of El Salvador and also in the Western Hemisphere, and seeing like, yeah, these people, they know how to do things, and they don't have this bias. They are not arrogant. They are proud, but in a very good way, so that they know who they are. So they are also less prone to be manipulated, which is amazing. And they are really setting up examples for the Western Hemisphere, for the neighboring countries. So it's Guatemala that is also doing great things, Costa Rica, Honduras, you had Amitage with Dushan and Ariana and others. So like when you just go to that part of the world, yeah, and whether conference or not, you feel like, oh my god, the world is not gray and dark, and it has beautiful future, and this future is already happening here in presence, so you feel like, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very inspiring, and as you said, it's an interesting shift. Bitcoin now is given the opportunity to third world countries, or like emerging countries as they're categorized, to lead the way instead of the first world countries, the United States, Europe, and like, which was kind of like the front leader of innovation and kind of prosperity, is going through a very hard and dark times. And these countries, which were like many of them even enslaved over the centuries, and kind of everything taken away from them, literally from minerals in the ground to their souls, are now actually having the most prosperous time. So it's funny how the tables have shifted.
Yeah, and
And
again, it's thanks to Bitcoin, because they were
correct.
also, and they are still enslaved, because like in monetary terms,
Mm,
right? IMF, one of my favorite institutions, of course. So yeah, this is also a way of enslaving nations, also putting them in debt that you cannot go out,
yeah.
putting them into actually bigger poverty and dependencies, and so on and so forth. Now, thanks to Bitcoin, and this is what El Salvador did. Yeah, they can just say, you know what, bye bye. We have our own way. We don't need to be like depending on you. We can just say no, like stop to the bully, and then others can follow. I mean, they got, like we got as a humanity, finally a tool to be like building on a, yeah, sound money, sound ground, really something that matters, and there is no end to that,
And
because
it's global. There is no like this jurisdiction and there's a walled garden. You're like free to communicate, to exchange goods with
yeah,
anybody in the
absolutely,
world, which is
yeah,
incredible.
absolutely, pretty quickly without middlemen. Yeah, anytime. That's another kind of thing, right? Time zones and stuff. Bitcoin never sleeps.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this argument of people saying, well, Bitcoin's slow, like all these alts do things in seconds. I go, well, first of all these alts do in seconds
Yeah.
because they're centralized. But second of all,
Yeah, and
tell me 10 minutes or even 1 hour is slow compared to a wire transfer that takes 3 to 5 business days,
yeah, these
right?
people, they have no idea. It's the same like, yeah, Bitcoin is consuming too much energy. I mean, have you ever thought how much energy you consume, like sitting on social media, watching YouTube, TikTok, whatever people are using, or yeah, any other stuff? And yeah, when I said like my journey, like very passionate, started with the block size wars. I mean, come on, seriously. And those times, so the Lightning Network started to be kind of like in use a little bit later than that, right? But especially now, it's so easy, and you have like so many different wallets, custodial, not custodial. I mean, it takes less than a second. Sometimes people in different places, they wait longer paying with a card, and then there is a problem. There is no connection with that. This Lightning, I'm just like this. What do you have a problem like with Bitcoin? You have a second layer. There are so many other things growing up, and yeah, probably we don't even know how all these things would involve. We don't need Bitcoin to be faster. I mean, what's your problem?
Well,
Yeah,
their problem is lack of education. But don't
yeah.
worry, Shella, there's a lot of educators out there that will hopefully help these guys out.
Oh yeah, I mean, you are one of them. So yeah.
Well, I like to think as all of us as kind of like educational evangelists that are trying to help out other people get in. And if you want to listen, we will most happily help you out. But if you want to shut it down and you don't want to hear about it, no problem. There's many other
Yeah,
people that can get
yeah.
help. Like
And
there's
I
no
think this
need
is
to
also,
shove
yeah.
things down people's throats.
Yeah. I think most of us as Bitcoiners, we had this moment in our, let's say, journey, the Bitcoin life.
We're pushing
We
it to
wanted to
everyone.
go, yeah, like with this big bell, Bitcoin is the best, learn Bitcoin, study Bitcoin. But after some time, you just realize, I also love this meme that, yeah, you don't need to fight or awaken like all the sheep,
All the
but you
sheep,
just have to awaken the
the
sleeping
lions.
lions, right? So, I mean, if somebody is not ready, they are not ready, and that's it. That's why I put so much effort into this kids, teenage, families project, because you can start from the very early age, not only about Bitcoin, but also like values and creativity, like again, like to trigger and keep your brain working so that you are a free, sovereign person as a person, like they're a Bitcoiner. Yeah, with Bitcoin Film Fest, we try to do the same, because, I mean, media like movies, they are also programming us heavily, and we can unprogram people and motivate them. And yeah, you do podcasts, probably also like, I hope you can start doing many other great things, and there are so many other people. So yeah, it's great. If somebody is not ready, I will not push them. but they should know that we are in there whenever whenever they want to come and ask questions. Nobody will also like, when people say like Bitcoiners are toxic, no, they can be sometimes like, toxic just in a funny way, right? It's also irony. This is also kind of intelligence. I'm not saying everyone because there might be exceptions, but overall, they are not toxic. They are people full of love, and they will help you as much as they can because they do care about you, themselves, Bitcoin, the future, and so on and so forth. So yeah.
They're passion freedom fighters. So
Yes,
some people may
this is
see
my
it
nickname, passion
as
freedom fighters.
maxis.
Yes, absolutely.
But also this term of maxis, like, which got a lot of slack over the years. People would associate Bitcoin, maximalism as this toxic thing. Like, to a certain extent, I've been thinking about this recently. I don't even want to consider myself as a Bitcoin maxi. I'd like to consider myself as a freedom maxi. Bitcoin helps me get my freedom back. I'm not here preaching just Bitcoin. I'm here mainly preaching freedom, like giving people back their sovereignty. And I think that's a much nicer term because it's hard to put freedom maxi in a bad term, right? Like, what?
But this is
You're so bad for
very,
preaching
very
freedom?
beautiful. This is interesting. You're always starting the podcast with the Satoshi's quote, but you are
Correct.
actually producing a lot of valuable quotes from your own show.
True.
Like in your own show. Yeah. So
Well, value for value, right, Shella? That's what we like to do in this space. So you mentioned actually, so the other thing that I wanted to kind of transition from the Bitcoin Junior Club to the Bitcoin Film Fest. I think, films, as you said, they have their own way of putting propaganda. Propaganda doesn't have to be also bad. It can be good, right? Propaganda is basically embedding something into your mind. Historically, tyrannical governments have been using it to manipulate it for their own ways, but it can be used in a good way. And I love what Bitcoin Film Festival is doing. And we had one of your team members a few months ago on the show, Tomek, correct? And he shared what a success the last one that you had, which was more or less around the timing of the halving. Talk about nice timing.
It was, exactly. We were one of the few halving parties that really happened during the halving.
Yeah, crazy.
Because it's a Bitcoin Film Fest, and then we were also doing the halving party, European halving party. Yeah.
I don't know if you had some internal talks with European miners to kind of, regulate the hash power to make in timing, but no, it's so overall. I heard really good things from the Rockstar Dev and Knut and everybody that was there. They really said it was something incredible. And I wanted to kind of check like what's on the books for your next one, which I believe is going to be happening sometime early 2020.
In May. So we already decided on the dates. Soon we will be announcing. So I hope you can come also with your family, because
hopefully
last year we didn't do such a big space for families and kids like Prague, or I would even say Adopting Bitcoin for now probably has the biggest. Madeira also had a very nice thing, but we had like mornings, like the cinema mornings for kids. There were quite many families, and then Sunday, most of Sunday was for kids, even actually co-run by kids. So teenagers, they were on the stage announcing different things. There were also panels, and they were selling some stuff and doing cookies, and that was pretty cool. But yeah, for 2025, so it's already set. So May 23rd to 25th, actually on 22nd, which is a Bitcoin Pizza Day.
Nice.
If somebody wants to come earlier, they can also do that. So yeah, it's great that it's in May because it will be much warmer. We can also spend more time outdoor. There are a couple of films that we already know we want to do screenings, a few premieres. And of course, it's not only like screenings, but you can also talk to the directors, the team behind it. And there will be, again, like workshops, parties, because this is not a conference, it's like, I like to call it like a community-driven cultural experience. So it's really not a conference. Like, you are sitting in a very, like, probably one of the most beautiful cinemas in the world, because it's not a multiplex. You are meeting with people. This is also not like a huge gathering, because we don't want to collect like thousands of people. So you have parties, you have a lot of art, a lot of like topics, art related, like books, and then extra to that, the screenings, and then workshops. If you want to learn about the filmmaking, video making, you can do that. If not, there are like other areas. One girl in our team, Kasha, she's also into like meditation and working on the body and body and mind. So we also focus on those areas, philosophy. So it's really everything around culture. So we are now like in the moment of discussing what might be the theme. And I think it was actually Tomek who proposed maybe something like the culture, So but yeah, everyone can already like save the date in the calendar, 3rd to 25th of May, 2025, Poland. So, but 22nd,
Amazing.
somebody wants to come early and eat cool pizza.
I like how you pick these dates like very strategically on like very big Bitcoin days, either halving or
Oh yeah.
Bitcoin Pizza Day. Maybe in the future one will be Bitcoin Infinity Day. Who knows? Like I like the strategic timing of it. And I wanted to touch a little bit on the point of filmmaking in Bitcoin. I think it's very important to also diversify um, the media creation, because some people love reading books. Like I'm an avid book reader. I start my day with reading the book. I finish my day with closing reading the book. Some people, even if they're Bitcoiners, they will never open a Bitcoin book because that's not their thing. There's people that love podcasts, that are crazy about podcasts. There's people that don't like podcasts. I never listen to a single podcast. And video and film is something that's kind of, I would say, the most spread. Like everybody has the time and can enjoy a nice 1 hour movie or series or whatever it is. Doing high quality films about Bitcoin is super important, because it's not a 15-minute YouTube skip about something and it's some guy charting something out, which some people may love, but most are like I'm not
Yeah,
really
but
interested.
this space, and also connected to the books, it's like, what's a Bitcoin book? Is Sovereign Individual a Bitcoin book? Is Matrix a Bitcoin movie or not? So we were, oh wow,
We're
cool.
nearly done. We're nearly done with it.
Yeah.
It is a Bitcoin book, by the way. It lays down the print of how Bitcoin is going to change your life without mentioning Bitcoin, because it
Yeah,
came out
but you know
30
what I
years
mean?
ago.
It doesn't
Yeah,
mention the word Bitcoin, like also Orwell's or the
correct.
New Brave World, right? Yeah, there are many books like this. One of my favorites is very short, if you haven't read, but probably you did if you were a bookworm, like The Richest Man of Babylon.
Oh, Babylon, yes, correct.
Yeah, it's so cool. So there are so many of them. So again, the same with movies. So we were starting, like, the first edition was mostly documentaries about Bitcoin and around Bitcoin. But this year we even had like two films. So actually one movie, one film. So one was not a documentary, that was not mentioning Bitcoin at all, zero. But Bitcoiners loved it, and it was, let's say, built on the Bitcoin ethos. The same like Matrix or Truman Show, right? And
Yeah.
I see that this space is growing this way more and more. And this is also something we are discussing within the team, like the BFF team, a lot. And okay, let it go. However, whatever happens, happens. But we see that this space is naturally growing that direction. Maybe in a couple of years, we will not even say what's Bitcoin art, movie, and book, because they will all be sold in Bitcoin and they will be funded with Bitcoin. So like you use the funding as a Bitcoin as a layer, so they don't need to show the huge orange V directly in your face. Probably there will be still some, like what Alana did with Dirty Coin is amazing, because she also took a very specific niche topic. So it's not directly Bitcoin, but it's an area, Bitcoin mining, a very misunderstood and controversial topic. Probably there will be always an area to focus on that. But already we have even like new forms. So there are guys traveling the world, and again, it is not directly about Bitcoin, but showing how people are changing their lives, how their lives are getting improved or just better. And then in between, let's say in theory, you can also explore the world this way. You can see how Costa Rica looks like, how Africa looks like, how Asia looks like, and so on and so forth. So this space is evolving, but it's pretty important to mention that A, it's not only about Bitcoin directly. B, it's not even only documentaries anymore. Cartoons, there are like short forms, there are like travel documentaries, and also even when we are saying documentaries, not like just talking heads. So yeah, it's great. Like we're doing it for like what, 3 years, and it's already like so much different than at the beginning. So yeah, but it's not only about Bitcoin.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the first time we spoke about this concept was when Alexander Svetsky was on the show. He kind of said, in the future, he doesn't see like it'll be stupid to have a Bitcoin podcast, or like the books that I'm writing, like a Bitcoin book. He's like, there's no need, like it's like today writing an internet book or like having a podcast about the internet. Like it's so
Yeah,
there that you're
maybe.
actually focusing on top of it.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you on that. But I think still, like, we're only like Bitcoin's about to turn soon 16 years old. Like this is still such a like early stage. Even though to some of us that are deep down the rabbit hole, we're like, wow, like the world's changed. Like it's very orange, right? But it's when you zoom out and look at the macro, it's still super early. And I think, Bitcoin books, Bitcoin films, Bitcoin podcasts, they'll still be relevant for the next decade, because kind of having this Bitcoin emphasis in the name or the logo or whatever, it still kind of virtue signals like we're focusing on this tech.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I mentioned Alana's work, because maybe there will be some specific areas of Bitcoin, like related to Bitcoin. So you don't have to learn what's Bitcoin anymore, but you are just exploring deeper some areas like mining or whatever. Or so we don't know. Like, I don't also really like people who say, it's stupid and for sure it's going to be like this or that. You don't
Nobody
know.
knows.
So stay humble. You don't know. Whatever happens, happens. Just focus on what you want to do. You can actually try to contribute to what you believe in is going to happen. I never say that something is stupid and for sure it's going to be like this. You don't know. Stay humble. So yeah.
And never say never.
Yes, exactly. Yes, never say never. Yes.
So amazing. So I guess we covered the Bitcoin Juniors Club. We covered the Bitcoin Film Festival. And I guess the third one that I wanted to bring up, it's interesting. Kind of you focus on educating the future generations, focusing on filmmaking, basically orange pilling people through interesting films, movies, and other video formats. And then you also have your Wearables by Shella, where you're focusing on fashion to show basically the people the kind of project Bitcoin. So how did that project come about, and kind of what's your mission with that?
I mean, actually, I wouldn't call it fashion. I had this conversation a few months ago with a friend of mine. I said, they're just wearables. This is not fashion. And I know a couple of fashion designers, or like people who do these things. That's why I like to call myself like this creative mind with the, creative soul with the sharp mind, So like, yeah, fashion or the wearables. Yeah, there is a funny story behind it. So I don't know do you know alpaca?
Yeah.
You know why alpaca is the Bitcoin animal? I actually wrote a short article. It's called like Bitcoin Zoo and the story behind my wardrobe. I put it on Habla on Nostr.
No, I didn't read it.
One of the very first companies, and very few people know about it. So one of the very first companies that started accepting Bitcoin much before Lightning.
Alpaca
it was
socks.
The alpaca socks. Yes, it was. Unfortunately, they don't do that anymore. But I realized that I wanna again program people in a way that, yeah, if I have socks, then I can connect to that point. And why people forgot alpaca? Everyone is talking honey badger. Yeah, he's cool, and like other animals, but there is also alpaca. Let's bring this topic back. So I found two small companies producing like professional socks companies. So I started working with them, and because I love drawings, then I can start doing different designs. So all of them are not like AI generated. It's really my hand, and so on and so forth. And then from that point, years back, I thought, okay, then I can go and use it as the orange peeling tool. So this is what I was doing. I was going different streets and then asking people with always the pack of socks, and then asking, do you know where the Bitcoin ATM is? And then I was like reading their reactions, if they said yes or no, but if they how do they reacted when I say Bitcoin, when I was asking like, do you know what's Bitcoin, and so on. And then they were of course looking at this huge bag of socks, and I said, hey, by the way, because I produce Bitcoin socks. And then they were like confused, what do you mean Bitcoin socks? Bitcoin is like investments, some geeks and stuff. So then if it's possible, then you can start a conversation. And I said, yeah, I can give you a pair, but you need to buy it. So then like Lightning, so you install the wallet, I send them money, they have to send it back. So it's like 2 transactions, and they got a pair of socks. So I was doing it for quite a long time, but of course you can bankrupt because it's, as I said, it's a professional socks, not just like marketing printout. So yeah, it's pretty costly. And also I realized that maybe I do hurt these people, because if sometimes they were interested, I were giving them different resources to explore the topic a little bit more. But probably I realized, yeah, after some time they would just keep this wallet or forget or change the phone. They didn't take it too serious, so I stopped, and I started giving and selling these socks to different Bitcoiners. A lot of us still have the fiat jobs, and sometimes you need to have like the uniforms, boring and so on. And my socks are funny and creative. And then many people told me, you know what, I'm sitting at this boring meeting and thinking like, oh my God, I want to die. And then I look at my feet, and then I see these socks, and I think, okay, when I'm back home, there is another world. So nice. So this is how it started. And I was collaborating with a couple of people also. Yeah, for example, this, I don't know if you've heard about it, mobile Nostr booth. This is a pretty new initiative. A friend of mine, other guys, they are doing. So she was also asking, hey, can you design something for this like Costa Rica, Brazil? So I started doing a couple of projects like this. So that's why I do it. It's nothing that I'm getting rich from. I don't do it like regularly, but I like it. And yeah, so I wouldn't call it fashion. It's just wearables.
It's a nice way to kind of, focus on something, because a lot of people, they do merch, they do t-shirts, they do hats, they do hoodies. But socks is kind of like such a necessity that like most people they just buy like one color socks. Like it's not something exciting. But as you said, putting some color into your life, and if you have that office job, you've got your suit and you've got some colorful.
Yeah, colors and messaging. So it's not like, again, a lot of Bitcoin logos, so they are more creative. Like one of them, these are one of the oldest, Pac-Man
Yeah.
is a game for sure.
Yeah, of course,
So
of
I just
course.
redesigned it, and the Pac-Man is eating like Bitcoin, and then it says like stage 1 in 21, avoid shitcoin. So if Pac-Man eats the shitcoin, you lose the game. So I play with different patterns, but it's not only socks. So it can be anything. So it's more about like design. So what I can draw, what I can. Recently, I did some kind of line for Nostr, not only for Tanya, but also some other. So yeah, it's first of all, I love drawing simple things, and then I like putting them on different wearables. Socks is the main area because of this alpaca thing, and as you said, yeah, people love socks. In adopting Bitcoin, I noticed kids as well, which was so hilarious because one of the babies, he found my bag and I had a lot of socks in there. So he took one pair. And of course, all the other kids, they were like, oh, I want as well. I want as well. And these socks are for adults. And we are talking about kids so this dude was like maybe 2 years old. So imagine he could put it like, up to
As a
here.
sleeve.
Yes, and I have these hilarious photos, and all of them, they took it. So they were too big, but they didn't mind. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe because some parents were coming and saying, can I buy more of the kids socks? They are
Kids
not
ones.
maybe I should think about this as well. But overall, it's like, yeah, it's any kind of like small item that you can wear. But I focus on quality, I would say, and it's more about this unique designs that would differentiate it. And also when I do it, I prefer to work with small companies. So it's not like I order it full respect, like anyone is doing whatever they want, but I don't want to order it from
Drop
China,
shipping, yeah.
or whatever, India, and so on. I generally the same like with socks. These are like, for example, two small companies. It's literally a huge house, and then they do it from the base as a cotton. Like I know them, I trust them. One of them got interested in Bitcoin and started accepting Bitcoin, which is pretty cool. So that's another kind of thing. The same with other wearables. So I avoid like this mass production because I don't want it be this way. And I met so many different, even like recently fashion designers. So maybe one way we will also connect forces. I don't know. But I also like coming back to the books and movies and the entire future. I also see more and more of like the need that less Bitcoin logos, more of like smart creative messaging. First of all, it can be pretty dangerous, which some newbies they don't realize. Like I don't want to out of conferences wear something with a big Bitcoin logo. You never know
You can
what's
be a
going to happen,
target.
right? Second, it's just boring. I mean, there are so many. Just be creative. So yeah, yesterday I've been actually at the it's pretty wild. I just came back. I slept almost 24 hours, and then because we are now on the way to Portugal, and then we are currently staying in France, very close to Belgium. So there was a Belgium meetup, super cool. And one of the guys, he had amazing T-shirt. It was like "Make 1984 fiction again." You know,
No
either you
mention
know
of
what it
Bitcoin,
means
but you
or
know
you don't know what it
exactly what
means.
he's
So
talking
this
about.
is what I mean, like creativity.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It's super boring just having a T-shirt with a big B on it, and as you said, it can be even dangerous. Like the higher the fiat value price goes, the more people are like, oh my god, that guy has Bitcoin. Like let's kidnap him or his family or whatnot. So you don't want to put yourself in that position. But yeah, I wanted to also just share regarding alpaca socks. We did have one guest on the show who actually bought the alpaca socks back in the day. Yeah, and you know him very well because it's none other but Jimmy Song, and that was one of his like I don't know if it was the first one, but one of the first Bitcoin purchases was his alpaca socks, which he says it was the most expensive socks he ever
Yeah,
bought.
I think the price was around like 75 Bitcoin or something.
I don't know about 75 Bitcoin, but like he said, like basically it was thousands of dollars for a pair of socks.
No, so what I know about the story, it was like a lot when you think of like how many Bitcoins you spend, but in terms of the Bitcoin price, we are talking very early, like 2011 or something. So it
I
was
don't.
not that okay. Maybe he bought it later, like I don't know. But yeah,
Sure.
cool to know. So next time when I see him, I give him a pair of my socks because
Yeah,
this is
tell him
what I
he's getting a little bit of a kickback from his first alpaca socks purchase, and also he said apart from the alpaca socks, he's a big beef jerky lover. So he also bought like some beef jerky from like a home producer, and he said basically it was good beef jerky. But he goes, quote, he goes, it was an $8,000 good worth of beef jerky.
Yeah, got it.
Because that was on the topic. Like Jimmy was one of the first like big stars on my show when I launched it last summer, because that's when he launched his Fiat Ruins Everything book, and he was actually looking to get on podcast to also talk about the book. And he opened his DMs to everyone, and I was like, oh, this is my opportunity to have Jimmy, on the show. And I DM'd him, and like within a couple of hours, he replied back. He's like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, I had to double check, is this the real Jimmy, or is this like some scammer I'm talking to? And it was the real Jimmy. And it was funny, like on the talk, that was the first time that he kind of swayed me. He said that, like, I told him my strategy is buy Bitcoin, spend, and replace. And he said, no, he goes, you don't want to like spend your Bitcoin. He goes, that's what you have fiat for. Like, spend the dirty fiat and save in Bitcoin. And then I was like, huh. For a time, I was like, oh, I'm not going to spend it. But then I kind of switched. It's like, if I'm not spending my Bitcoin, how am I supposed to get other people into it? So
and how you are helping Bitcoin to become what it's meant to be, I believe, money. So
correct,
I
medium of exchange.
personally don't like this hodl passive approach. Like, yeah, I do like the expression hodl, which means don't sell your Bitcoin. Yeah, don't exchange your Bitcoin to fiat.
Yeah.
But it is to be spent. And
spend
also
it on what you really need to spend it, not on just like
and
things that you might
like. People to earn it, and then you can earn it back. I mean, it's money.
Correct.
It's the most beautiful money we ever got as a humanity, and probably we will never get better. So
it's a one lifetime chance. And yeah, I guess I'll conclude this point on the beautiful thing is we're all free to use it how we want to use it. You want to use it as your store of value and never touch it, go for it. You want to spend it as your everyday, day by day, spending vehicle, do it. There's no one that's going to restrict you or tell you. And that's the beauty about, Bitcoin. It gives you the full freedom.
Exactly.
I agree.
You are a free person, and yes, you do.
So I guess to kind of wrap it around, since I stick to this 1.5 hour time focus, I want to bring up one of the closing questions. With your journey through Bitcoin and everything you're doing, and as you're familiar with the show, my kind of closing question is, what would you advise to someone, that's only starting their Bitcoin journey today? What's one or two pieces of advice you would like to share with them?
This is what I do quite often with people that I know in person, and from time to time they are coming back. Don't buy Bitcoin before you understand, before you fall in love with it somehow. There are so many different ways to earn it, especially now with Nostr. This is amazing. And the easiest way to get some sats through Zaps. There are also ways like a fountain. So I hope some of your fans or like your audience will be maybe also lucky enough to get Bitcoin, like some sats, because they will listen to the episode. There is a poll law that you put the reviews and you get sats back. There's even some games if some people are spending. So don't buy it, please, because you can hurt yourself and you will put yourself into some kind of journey that might not be pleasant. So this is what I often tell people. Don't also be stressed that you have to know everything and you have to do it fast because you are too late. Again, fear and ego, they are like two biggest enemies of ours. So take it easy. And don't buy before you understand, and take it easy. Take it as a pleasant journey. Enjoy every single moment of it, and don't speed up.
Yeah. That's amazing advice. Not jumping into the deep end of the pool without knowing how to swim is very good advice, because sometimes people get influenced, like, oh, I'm gonna go like all in, and then next thing next month the price has like dropped by 20-30%, and you're like panicking.
Yeah.
And then most people, what they do, they sell, and they that's the wrong thing to do. But it's just like human nature. You're like, oh my god, like this thing is losing money, like I better get out now while I can still get something back. Whereas I tell people, well, if once you start buying, hopefully DCA.
Yeah, but it also comes with other responsibilities. So true. I don't want people to buy Bitcoin and keep it on exchanges. I'm really 100%. Like, no, please. And then if you have to start explaining them, okay, either Lightning, but with Lightning also, you don't really like generally self-custody. So you need to explain wallets, and from wallets so it's too much at once, and then it can be pretty scary. So that's why it's better, my approach, please don't buy. You can earn it, and then it's fine to keep a little bit of it in the Lightning wallet, custodial or not, and then you can learn more, and then you see like the first layer and how it works, and one way or another you will hear something about wallets and this and that, and so you get on this journey on your own. Whenever you have questions, you can ask somebody, but you start slowly. So you already get it, and actually you see that it's not that difficult, and you also feel the value of sats. Like I have a friend, she started playing one of the tender games. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly.
Yeah.
And then she was just winning like, 10 sats, 100 sats, 50 sats, whatever, 1,000 sats. But after some time, she was calling me and saying, "Oh my God, this thing, like at the beginning, it was like 20 cents and now it's like $3. Is it possible? Is it true?" I said, "Yeah." So, you also, thanks to that, explore it from a different perspective. So, yeah.
I think what you mentioned, thank God for Nostr. Nostr is helping Bitcoin adoption in a huge way that most people
Amazing,
don't
yes.
realize because, as you said, it's, there's many different clients, but since BTC Prague at the Nostr booth, Primal was also there, and I got to meet the team. And turns out a lot of the team are also my native Serbs, so which was very nice. And it's so easy and flawless. I also try to tell people, when I tell them about Bitcoin and Nostr, and they're like, "What is this?" And I go, "Listen, just open your phone, download, Primal,
Yeah.
bam, in like less than 2 minutes, you have your Nostr account. I send them a little zap. It's instant there. They're like, wow, like it's here. And it's like, yeah. And then
And
it's
it
like,
feels great because
it does.
when you also zap others, you feel so like happy, right? It's more than a thumbs up, and sometimes you don't have enough time or focus to write a comment. But also, what I would love as a final message talking about Nostr, I would love people to explore more is Nostr is not only social media, okay? It is a
100%.
protocol, so it's a layer. We can rebuild the entire internet. And if somebody doesn't like social media, which is also fine, they can write blogs, they can read blogs, can build websites that are like live streaming, like so many different things. So it's not only Primal, Damos, Amethyst, not only social media. And even speaking of social media, many people, they don't know that there is also like equivalents of Instagram or Pinterest. If you are more into like visuals or a photographer or whatever, and again, beautiful and very smooth way to bring like normies, no pointers, but still freedom seekers, artistic souls. Yeah, you can do it from that perspective, and then you will be happy. Like before, you were putting it to the Mark Zuckerberg's, and then you were just like, yeah, you were giving your data for free, and you didn't think about it. Here, you don't give your, like, you don't sell your soul, but you are actually earning money, and how great it feels. And then you see how great this community is. Like, even if you are new, and of course there are some bugs and issues, and whenever you have a problem, everyone is helping you and supporting. And this is like, again, you feel like, wow, because this is another problem with the current world. You can think that it's so gloomy and dark and everyone is so like, right? And you go to the Nostr Bitcoin world and you feel like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. So it's actually different. So yeah, Nostr is amazing, 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 and it's well beyond social media.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that one. The fact that Nostr, it's not just an app, it's an actual, as you said, a protocol. Like I see it as Bitcoin is this, sovereign money protocol, and Nostr is this sovereign personal data protocol where so many things can be built. It's only like 3/4 years old. It's insane how many things have already been built in it and what's being built as we speak and come in. And if you have an idea, like there's no better time than to go out today and build. And if you don't know how to code or just join Nostr, throw out your idea. I'm sure there will be people that will be more than happy to align. You don't have to go out, seek crazy investment, seed funding, this, that. Like people are really looking to help out each other. And who knows, maybe you build some incredible next client. There's so much opportunity out there. So don't just be kind of sitting on the sidelines. Or true.
So one way or another, exactly. Don't ask for permission. Do it. Try. Don't be scared. Like, just do it. Yeah. Live with passion, love, curiosity, creativity, and life will be better.
Amazing. Not to infringe on copyright from Nike, but yeah, just do it. Don't dwell on it.
Yes, exactly.
Shella, it's an absolute pleasure having you on. We've been communicating over, no pun intended, Nostr for some time, but it's been amazing having you on. I've been following some of the projects that you've been going, and it's very inspiring also for myself and other people that are looking to be more involved in their passionate projects and moving forward. What would be the best place to send people? I guess your Nostr page, or where should we redirect them to follow
So
you
they
in your
can go to
projects?
my Nostr page if they just want to connect with me privately. I would also suggest exploring Bitcoin Film Fest. We are on LinkedIn, Twitter from the old style stuff, and on Nostr, of course, as well. But if somebody is more into like families, kids, teenage, then it's also on Nostr, Bitcoin Junior Club. So whichever topic fits you, if it's that the easiest, you can first like connect with me. If it's just like one link you need to include,
I can do many.
but if it's just one, you can like put my Nostr, and then if somebody has questions or if they need to go somewhere else, then I can direct them. So yeah.
Nice. Well, Nostr is the door to Shella's rabbit hole. Once you go through that door, she can redirect you to any branch you need.
Actually, now I'm just looking, and it's not like I prepared it. It's just after the meetup yesterday.
Oh,
So this is one
amazing.
of the yeah. So I made it. There is you are from Balkans, right? Originally,
That's
you know
correct.
this song like start wearing purple for me. Now you know this song. So I made this one because I was listening to this song and I said it's so cheesy, but I love it. And then I made this kind of like small campaign: start wearing purple for me now, please go Nostr. So yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. So
Amazing.
Nostr is my love. Yes.
Incredible. Well, Shella, once again, thanks a lot for taking the time. It's been an absolute joy having you on. And yeah, I look forward to having you back in the future as your journey and our journey carries on, because we're only getting started here. And yeah, I wish you all the best with everything. If you need any help from my end, I'm always happy to help support or, connect with any way I can. And keep doing the fantastic things that you're doing. And until next time.
Yeah, thank you so much. And please, extra hugs from Auntie Shella to your daughters.
Thank you so much. Will do.
Thank you. Bye.